So get down with the music behind the music. You will be inspired to think higher, realize your gift. Join the music and Michelle and Gina. Turn this up and through your speakers. It's the music of music.
And good evening and good day, good afternoon, wherever you are. Good welcome to you all. I am Michelle Fallon, the host of the Muses Behind the Music. And today I have the distinct pleasure of having my friend, colleague, Maestro Scott Tucker. Listen, y'all, we were waiting before we came on live to this, and just cracking just cracking up. I'm hoping I can keep myself together, because there are people who will say some things and act like they didn't say it, and I'll be the one that's falling out laughing and getting in trouble as per usual. But it is good to have him on. And while you're at it, do me a favor, go on ahead and subscribe, bring somebody to come in, give StreamYard permission so that you can chat with us into this brief moment of conversation in love and music and all things life that Scott is doing. And if you're watching on YouTube, did I say subscribe? So yeah, make sure that you are subscribing to this channel. I had the pleasure of meeting Scott, maybe about 11 years ago, when he became the artistic director for the Choral Arts of Washington. And hey, Jeff Corey, my good brother, I hope you are doing well. And immediately, I loved his energy. Just very personable. And I've never shared this with him, but he is this white man with a black soul. He got a black soul in there, y'all, for sure. And so you'll get to hear a little bit about it and his experiences. And, for 10 years, hey, Jackie, we had a great working relationship. And then he decided it was time for him to retire. We don't retire as musicians. He knows this. But he went on to do some other things, and that's just how it happens. Sometimes there's a time where you have to just move along. And so we're going to have these conversations. But in case you don't know him, I got to give you a little bit of his bio, which is extremely extensive. And y'all, he's worked with some people that I'm not even going to attempt to say their name, because I will jack it up. And I don't want to embarrass myself and embarrass other people in how I'm saying their name, because they deserve their name to be said correctly. But I will share with you, if you need to see more extension on him, read his bio. And Scott has been one who has prepared choruses for many well-known orchestras in the world, and for many maestros and maestras over orchestras, including Marin Alsop, Eric Leinsdorf, and Michael Tilson Thomas. During his tenure as artistic director of the Choral Arts Society of Washington, which was from 2012 until 2022. He prepared the chorus for over 24 appearances with the National Symphony Orchestra at the Kennedy Center. In 2018, there was a reviewer from the Washington Post who described the chorus as they were performing Britain's War Requiem as the most moving choral singing I have heard in a quarter century's residence in Washington. That's dope. That's 25 years. Hey, Patrick D. McCoy, good to have you on here this evening as well. Tucker has also prepared and done guest appearances with other orchestras, including the Los Angeles Philharmonic and Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra featuring Wynton Marsalis. Soon after arriving at Choral Arts, he founded the Choral Arts Chamber Singers and the Choral Arts Youth Choir. affording the organization the opportunity to increase its breadth of repertoire and its educational outreach. The one thing that I must say that I absolutely love about Scott Tucker, too, is that he is a proponent and a supporter of those who are creating new music. I mean, we're hearing so much of the same old. And I love when people are commissioning folk to get out here and to write pieces and then to be able to perform them because we've got talent all over the world. And he does this quite often. And he has premiered over 40 works from composers such as Carol Barnett, David Conti, and Chen Yi. Tucker is professor emeritus at Cornell University, where he was the first P.E. Browning Director of Choral Music. He is married to a beautiful musician sister friend as well, has a gorgeous daughter. I can't slight the other kids, but it's the daughter who I know who is just adorable. And I'm trying to get her to call me Auntie Diva. That's a whole other situation. Y'all, come on and welcome my friend, Maestro Scott Tucker.
Wow. Michelle, that was so nice.
I'm reading what's in front of me. That's all I'm doing.
I want to meet this person, whoever that is.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, what's interesting. And hey, Glenn Howard. Glenn is saying hi to you too.
Hey, Glenn.
I tell you one thing, in being retired, you're going to, if you haven't, and I know you know this, get to know you in a whole nother light.
Yeah.
Have you discovered it? Have you discovered things? Yeah.
Absolutely already. Yeah. It's been, I thought it would, I wasn't sure what kind of challenge it would be because, you and I were just chatting before, and I mentioned that my whole adult life, in fact, since I was 15,
wow.
I've been conducting, I've been on the podium nonstop. And I thought, well, if I step off that podium and don't get back on again, you know, who will I be? Will I just disappear into some like little
shrivel up?
But no, it's been a fantastic opportunity these past few months to discover that the most important thing in all of life is to live, right in the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that I've learned through doing music because it forces you to do that. I think that's why I got addicted to music eventually.
Yeah.
But because it makes you do that. And
no choice, no option in that.
Right.
Yeah. But I want to know at 15, where are you going? What are you doing at 15 years old on the podium?
It was this, I grew up in Weston, Massachusetts, and there they had this big theater, theater was a huge thing, musical theater especially. And there was a very charismatic guy there that ran a community theater, a summer workshop, and he did all the high school musical. He did it all. And he was a huge influence. And he hired me at a young age to music direct these shows. So I started in musical theater doing that. And, I learned a lot. I did that for about 10 years, maybe a little less than 10 years before I started doing, any other conducting. So I really started there. But when I was, younger and a musician, my goal, my thought was that I was going to be a trumpet player in a symphony somewhere. And the conducting, which I loved doing, but to me, it was just like a side thing until I hit a wall, with the instrument. And when I was in my 20s, I came to that realization that probably most people come to, that I'm not going to be a star, on the trumpet. It wasn't going to happen. And rather than, go and play in Peoria somewhere, I wanted to continue with music. And so I moved over to conducting full time. And all of a sudden, that turned out to be a really great decision. I mean, I should have done it before, but I didn't know. So I learned. I think the problem with the trumpet for me was I, you know, when from the time I was 9, I was pretty good as a trumpet player when I was a kid, and so it was who I was. It was my whole identity, and then that's I think it put too much pressure on me to after a while, you know,
Yeah.
to be so wrapped in that one thing,
Yes.
and so I took a little sidestep.
I know it so well. I know that, like, I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about, or if I've ever shared with you in the past, about being accepted to Juilliard and their pre-college for, and I just knew when I walked in. Now I practiced a lot and I loved it, but there was something about the energy of these other young kids who were mainly Asian. Who
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, that no, that's not what I want. That is not what I want to do. And yeah, it's a great thing when you can have so many multiple areas in one genre, or one capacity, call it the music, the umbrella of it, and be able to move around with that.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
go conducting. Do you Tell me something though? Before you went into this, or even the comparison of when you were in conducting, what did you connect with the most when it came to the audience, being a conductor or being the performer of trumpet?
Oh, no question. It was um, no question, and then I had to think about it. Yeah, absolutely, no
I was
question.
about to die. I was like, okay, he's questioning.
um, now, as soon as I started conducting, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. But I think there's something about it I didn't take that seriously. I thought it was.
Mm,
Um, uh, I hate to say this because it's not, but I thought to myself, this is in a way too easy. It's not that
mm,
it's easy. It's not. It's
right.
actually, but I thought it was too natural. How could this be
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, but that was sort of my thought process. I
Right.
have to work so hard to be a good trumpet player. That must be the thing
What
that
you're supposed to do.
is supposed to do. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's good. Like I was always a sight reader. Drop
Mhm.
anything in front of my face and I'll be able to read it. And I
Mhm.
think what that did for me, I used to try to play tricks on my teachers. So, I thought that I could get away with it. Like I'm going in lessons, and because I'm sight reading this stuff and I hadn't practiced, I was like, feeling it. And I would be kicked out the studio. They're like, no, you gotta go. You have, and
Yeah.
I'm like, how do they know? So
Yeah.
that's the way I was taking the gift of, some things
Yeah.
that come easy to us.
Yeah.
There still is so much more work we have to put
Oh
into
yeah. I
it.
mean, so much, but I didn't discover that till later. I remember my first lesson, my trumpet lesson at New England Conservatory
Mm.
when I went. Andre Combe, great player in the Boston Symphony, and he was just the kind of teacher that I wanted and needed because he had no smiles for me. He was. My first lesson. I started to play an etude, and I got about I don't know, not very far, maybe a phrase or two in, and he just turned to me and he said, "What else have you got?"
Oh wow.
Oh my God.
Oh wow. Yeah,
but,
for real.
but I worked hard. I worked hard for him because, his standards were that high and that was important to me. And I think it's important a part of who I am as a conductor to have, gone through all that discipline, of course, on one
Yeah.
instrument. That's important. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a relationship between, when you're especially conducting orchestras, that you have, experience playing an instrument
Yeah.
inside of the orchestra so that you really know how it fits. Do you write
Exactly.
music for orchestras? Do you do that? I'm gonna hire you. That's what no, I'm just asking.
But, as a conductor, I mean, unless you're a string player, a brass player to a string player is
Mm.
only, 'cause they give you that look.
Very true.
They give you that look, that string player look when you're asking for something, they look at you like this.
You must be a brass player.
Right. Which is only just slightly above singer. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, at the time, um, where it appears that you are like fullest in your life. To us, it appears that way, right? And I was saying earlier how you retired from the whole choral arts thing, and not so much of a retirement, and then feeling like you weren't going to be able to create and make music. What is it that you are doing that keeps the creative energies going for you?
Oh man, this is so much better right now for
Yeah,
me personally, because the choral arts was great. Of course I miss the singers
yeah.
greatly, and the staff is wonderful. The board, everybody's great over there,
Mhm.
and it was a terrific place to be. Um, I'm gone. Here I am.
Yeah.
As a just as a musician, one needs, this, one needs some sort of sense of stillness and reflection
Yes.
in your life. And it's hard enough with a 5-year-old at home.
Yeah.
But I was finding that I tend to, I really over prepare. I'm not a very good pianist at all. And
No, I didn't
so
know that.
nah, terrible. But I'm an embarrassment to the instrument. But so when I prepare a score, I really, I don't really play through it that much. I do a lot of singing and looking and studying and
Mhm.
hearing in my head, and it's time consuming. It takes me a long time, longer probably than some, to really master a score. And so I was working just really hard at that all the time, and the sense of reflection time, all that kind of
Yeah.
time was non-existent.
Awesome. Yeah.
You
Didn't
know,
I get it?
just go, 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 go all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So I'm loving right now the fact that I can take a long walk every day. I can listen to a great book while I do it if I want. I can, and I'm doing a lot of stuff that I've done before that I've regenerated. I'm playing the trumpet a lot. I'm playing the piano because I figured why
Mm.
not learn now, and I'm doing Tai Chi and I'm
Stop.
learning some languages and stuff. So it's been great that way. I can
Yeah.
schedule my day around learning and reflection, and that's been great for me.
Take us through a moment like you have a new piece of music that's in front of you. Because I always want to know. I always ask other conductors, how are you learning the piece for you? Like, what does it start with? Does it start with the historical aspect? I'm a singer first and foremost, so
Yeah,
I'm going to the words and I'm trying to find out the meaning behind it. Like, what is your process in doing that?
yeah. I like to it. Sometimes it depends on the piece and the length of the piece and the kind of the gravitas of the piece, I suppose. But say a choral orchestral work that I don't know. The very first thing I do is I just sit in an armchair with it
Mm,
and just peruse it, to know how it's structured, what stands out about it. The text certainly is often really important. Yes.
mhm.
And how is it segmented? How is it conceived? You try to just get under the surface and figure out what the composer was up to.
Yeah,
I mean, faced with that blank page, the
yeah.
famous blank page, why did he make those decisions? When I was a kid, I was playing in Ben Zander's youth orchestra in Boston. He was a incredibly inspirational
Mm,
conductor and teacher, and he used to jump down from the podium period just all the time. He had this wild hair, an English accent. He was everything that I idolized in a conductor. So he would jump down to the piano all the time, and he would say, "Beethoven could have done this," and
I love it.
And then, or he could have done this, and he'd play something else. But instead, he did this. You know, isn't it amazing? And so he would bring this music to life this way all the time. So, you know, Jim Marvin, another at Harvard, who I worked with for a few years, you know, I learned so much from him. But one of the things that he's so great at is that idea that the composer, he didn't have to do this. He would say a lot of the time, he didn't have to do this. He didn't have to do this. He didn't have to make this decision. So looking at a score with that in mind, like, why did they make this decision? Could they have done something else? Is this surprising? You know, all those sort of considerations, and to make the salient points of the composition stand out first, and then you, of course, you dig into all the details.
Yeah, it's so very theoretical. You know, when we don't have these composers who are in front of us, or we can't access them because they've transitioned already, or they're just.
I talk to Brahms all the time. We are really good friends. But I get your point.
You're trying to tell you, Scott, you know I'm not going to recover quickly when you tell me. I'm just saying, like, it makes it another level of challenge in there. And that's what I like about being able to, you know, commission people. Like, I can ask you right then and there, as you are writing this piece, where are you going? What is your thoughtfulness about it? I don't ever really get into the theoretical part, is, you know, that whole, why did you do this note and not this note in there? And I think that I'm such a spatial kind of conductor, you know, but a lot of that comes from genres of music that don't have very good theoretical practices. So it's very simple in how you're doing. And I'm not talking about gospel, y'all. So, because gospel has definitely become more intricate over the last 20 years, that's for sure. But you have a wide array of genres under your belt too. And so, you know, in doing so, do you find yourself, no matter what the genre of music is, you're about to dissect this piece the same way? Every piece receives the same kind of dissection.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not for me. You know, I mean, sometimes it's very holistic, you know, but because, you know, people who write music, you know, they do it from so many different perspectives.
True.
So to me, it's just a matter of just a little bit, even getting into their motivation or their, you know, their thought process, possibly, or even just getting a glimpse of their soul. I mean, there's a way in which always you can connect, because your job is to, you know, get out of the way eventually.
Yeah.
You want, you know, they've been inspired to put something down on paper that's sound in their head. That's something creative. This is creative force, which comes either outside of us or inside of us. Who knows? But it seems to, you know, like, it's something that's not just intellectual, for sure. And it comes through this composer. It's got, you know, we look at it and we're just trying to digest it in a way that the singers or the instrumentalists or whoever it is can internalize it, master it, and then it gets passed right on to the listener, right? So we're just trying to move it along, you know, so that it can inspire.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's so finding what it is that you're studying in order to make that happen. It changes with the piece, with the genre a little bit, or even with the composer, you know.
Why do you have such a heart for commissioned pieces? New ways?
I just think that you know, music is so music. You know, it's such an alive art form, you know. And we, especially in, you know, in the world that I most often inhabit, you know, sort of European based white composers, you know, it can get so dead.
Yeah.
You know, you just sort of museum pieces that are all dusty. And it's just vital that music keep living, keep
Yes.
creating, keep ebbing, because, you know, and if I'm in a position like I've been both at Cornell and at Choral Arts, if I've been in a position where I can help make that happen, it's almost an obligation. I mean, how can you not?
I like that too. I like that, the obligation to, yeah, when you have a platform to bring others up
Yeah.
there and to help them be just as recognized or get their works out. Absolutely.
Yes.
You spent time in South Africa.
I did. Yeah.
Tell us about that. How'd you get there? What was happening?
Well, I was, you know, when I was way back when I was a young kid in my very early 20s, I was in East Africa. I went as a volunteer, and when I was there, I was in Western Kenya, a pretty very rural, you know, not, you know, a very not wealthy place at all. You know, people were really just struggling to survive. And I was there to do what I could, but, you know, mostly when I got there, I realized I was learning a lot more than I was helping, because I learned what community comes from. For them, for us, it's a nice to have. You know, it's nice to have community. We're very, you know,
We throw around a lot of words that we don't really understand the depth of it.
over there, it is a matter of survival, or
Yes.
it was then. And so and in this little community in the Kisii district, they were singing about once a week or so. The community would gather. I don't know, there's maybe not, it's not a very big community. It's a couple hundred people maybe. So maybe 50 of them would gather and sing. They would just sing. Every week they got together and they sang. And some of the songs were in Swahili, some were in Kisii. Most of them were, you know, songs that were very traditional that they just knew. A couple of them were hymns.
Yeah.
And it was just their expression of their interconnectedness. They were expressing that. And when I was experiencing that, at the time I was still planning on being a trumpet player, I had that epiphany. This is what music is.
Yeah.
Music is an expression of our interconnectedness. That's at the very root.
Yes.
What we're all about. That's it. So, and, you know, after, you know, working so hard with the technique and to do all that, I thought this is really what it's all about. So flashing way forward. So in about 2001, I was coming up for sabbatical at Cornell, and I wanted to go back to Africa. And so I thought of going to East Africa, and I wrote to some people there that I knew, but nothing was panning out. But this opportunity came in South Africa to go. It was to help teach choral conductors there. But really, again, all I did was basically learn. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I got to know this great musician named Sidumu Jacobs, also known as Sidumu Nyamazele, and he had in his head all these township songs, and he taught them and sang them, and so I just sang with the group that he was leading. And as I was telling you one time, that was a completely holistic experience. You just jump in and you start moving. Yes. And you start singing, and it's all together. There's no separation between the two. It's not like you learn the notes sitting down, and then you learn the moves. Like, you know, all white, any white person would do it that way. We got to break this down. But Sidhu was just like, all right, just jump in there and just go. So I learned to learn music that way, which was hugely liberating. I mean, it was an amazing experience. And so I was there, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. And toward the end, Sidumu finally agreed to teach me some of these songs in a way that I could remember them. Yeah. And because you know, because he trusted me finally. He knew I wouldn't exploit him.
Yes.
And so you know, I did come back and I taught some of those songs. Usually I teach them by rote. I haven't done it for a little while, but teach them by rote, and the same way that he would do it, with the movement all from the beginning. And
Yes.
I found when I was doing that, especially at Cornell, I mean, the students responded to it amazingly well, but they also, it informed their other singing,
Yes.
because the liberation in singing that way applies. You need to
Listen,
sing with that freedom.
I
within
say
you.
it too because I learned it from my vocal coach, Janice Chandler Ateme.
Yes.
She always says, and I love it. She says every time that I'm singing and I get in my head, you are free.
Oh, beautiful. That's beautiful.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
And it just hits me in a way that it's
Yeah.
it's just it is liberating. And so I tell my kids all the time, and when I do guest, you know, clinicians and stuff,
Yeah.
because I can see the tension of feeling like we've got to be like so stoic and just, you
Yeah.
know, babies.
Right.
No, you're free.
Yeah.
And you've got to release that. I remember when you were teaching us, when you first came, you started teaching us songs from South Africa. And I thought, who is this white man over here who got some soul in his? I'm just telling you what I was thinking. And it was so awesome to see that, because you know what? Look at this. Having flashbacks. I love it. That's real. Yes, challenging and fulfilling indeed. I get a lot of white conductors who will talk to me about directing spirituals.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate. Now let me say this in all
Okay. Well,
sincerity. I appreciate you feeling like there's permission or something. Like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? From your perspective, because you're a white man,
Yeah.
can you share with others?
With Joe. Yeah. I was trying to do lighting so I wouldn't look so white, but I think
Stop it.
yeah.
Like, Scott, now before you even answer that, let me just tell the people this. I remember we were doing a program, and you had choral arts sing a spiritual. I was so moved, like I can think about it right now and start welling up with tears, because it was so powerful. It was authentically done. You could feel the spirit that they were connected to the whole entire message of the song. And that to me is what needs to be pulled from all music. You know,
Exactly.
I don't want to separate it and just be like Black music. There is a relevance, yes, that we're doing it correctly. But I need you to share, how do you go about, you know, when you take up a spiritual, do you get nervous? Do you say, oh no, I can't touch this? You know, what are you doing? Because I really do want people to feel, I want people to feel comfortable enough to say,
Yeah.
you know, I'm approaching this like I would Brahms.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. Yeah. In terms of liberation and connection to the text, almost all choral music, you know, has that in common.
Mhm.
So you have to connect, and like Janice says, you have to be free. You have to, but you can't do that until you master what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, it's a kind of a tension there. You know, you can't just walk in and master and then just and find that you can then communicate.
Mhm.
It doesn't work that way. You have to work hard in the meantime, so that what you're doing can connect.
Yeah.
You know,
When you say work hard, what are you working hard on? What are you working hard on?
well, I think what I'm working hard on is usually it's like it's almost like you've got a rough hewn piece of wood, and then you decide you're going to sand down the parts
Mm,
they're sticking out. So you have a concept of what you're looking for,
yeah.
sound wise only, and then you're working hard to take away the impediments that
Mm,
are keeping that sound from happening. It's not like you're building something. It's
right.
almost never like that. It's actually all there. You know,
Mm,
even a white, very stiff choir, they all there. It's there. It's just a matter of getting rid of everything that's impeding it. You know?
give us an example of if you an impediment for one of the choral aggregations that you have worked with.
What's
Because and let me give you a little bit more substance to that. When I work with a black choir, I'm not dealing with the same impediments as when I'm working with
yeah.
a white choir. So what is it that you have found that you are trying to release from your own groups?
Yeah, well, when it comes to say doing a spiritual, it has to do with uh, it's a kind of
Mm.
a clinging to correctness, you
Mhm,
know.
mhm.
And I'm not saying that, oh, it's okay not to be accurate, but the idea is that it's fear based. That has to go,
Yeah.
right? So and getting rid of that fear, I'm not saying fear of being embarrassed or whatever it is. I think there's a general fear in, like, even a well-trained, majority white, European based choir that says, all right, the page is the scripture, and I am absolutely not going to blow it, with reading this thing. And so there's so much there that there has to be no barrier
Mhm, mhm.
between the singing. And so how do you get to that? I mean, there's a thousand techniques, but it starts in the warm up and it goes all the way through.
Yeah, yeah. I had a I had a teacher years ago who used to say the warm up is connected to whatever you're about to sing.
Yeah,
If you're doing it for yourself, make it a connection. If you're in front of your choir, make sure that it's all a part of the connection, whether it's vocally being executed or it's internally being executed.
right.
It still needs to
Yeah,
forever be present.
yeah.
Um, I
So I
yeah,
mean that clinginess, that clinginess to correctness, it creates in the body a real damper
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So all of that needs to get let go.
yeah,
And so, so it might take doing a phrase, doing it right, doing it correctly, and then putting the music down and just doing it wrong, doing it with
doing it
freedom.
wrong, doing it wrong.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes. You know what? I'm always trying to tell, especially, because I work mainly with youth ensembles.
yeah,
Well, it's okay to make a mistake.
right.
I need you to get out your head about this. You're afraid to like make an and in truth, maybe sometimes it's because I go a little crazy on them a little bit.
I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say it, but there is that. It's okay to make a mistake. Jane, that's a B flat. Don't you ever do that again.
I can hear myself do. I can hear
Yeah.
But I mean, that's after like the 12th time. I'm talking about
Oh
like
no, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
in
I hear
time
you.
number one, number two. I need you to feel comfortable with error. You don't know this thing, but it's a part of also becoming freer
Yeah.
to it. When you're okay with like, okay, I made that. I'm not going to get scolded because we're just beginning this piece, and I'm giving an effort to trying to figure this thing out. I prefer that than you just
Yeah.
sitting back and being quiet and still, and then, time 20,
Right.
you're loud and wrong and strong.
Right. Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean? Um, but yeah, that's such great points about just
I mean, another thing besides, yeah, this idea of
yeah.
freedom, it's okay to make a mistake, is sometimes, if I ask them to take almost another role, like sing it as if you wrote it,
Mm.
or sing it as if you're conducting it, or whatever it is, but step out of this prison that you're in,
Oh!
you know,
Ooh,
and some.
sorry, that was a sermon. Step out the
No,
prison.
no one wants to see me in the pulpit, believe me.
I do. I do.
Anyway, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's so good, though. That's so good. Everything, everything goes to freedom.
Be fun.
I know. I love her so much. Everything goes towards being free.
Yeah.
I think that's, perhaps the experiences, and maybe you can tell us, because I find you to be such a beautiful humanitarian.
Thank you.
Like really, like you're always, I don't care what you conduct, I can feel the soul of who you are trying to reach the soul of that piece every single time. And that also extends itself into how you deal with people and the relationships that you build with people. It's not just talking to them, like, hey, I need something from you. It really is trying to connect to that inner part. Where did that start? Did it get developed? You called it the aha moment when you were in Africa, and then you just thought, I'm taking this nugget with me for the rest of my life.
There are, for all of us, there are these nuggets all along the way. And I feel I feel really lucky in all the people in my life that have, mentored
Yeah.
me, or that have been in my life. I've learned something from everybody I've had any sort of either teaching relationship with or even friendship with. You're always learning from other people.
Yeah.
And I think that thank you for what you said. I mean, I feel the same about you. I mean,
Oh,
you're such a brilliant performer, but not a performer in that it's not artifice. When you're performing, you're being you, and that's what it's all about. I think that's what so much energy and inspiration in an audience is, when they can sense that what you're doing is not artifice.
yeah.
This is the real thing. I think along the way for me, spiritually speaking, I think I grew up as an Episcopalian. No surprise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was an acolyte.
Stop it.
I was, and then when I was about 17 or 18, I had this, like an evangelical experience, and I was born again for a while. But I think over the next 7 or 8 years, I became a little disillusioned with that. And I think now I'm in a place where, I think spirituality in general absolutely informs what I do artistically.
Yes.
But I'm not sure I think a lot of Christians would look askance at me as a Christian, because I don't really believe in the supernatural aspects of Christianity. I don't really believe in the resurrection or a lot of those miracles.
Yeah.
Not that I know. I mean, I'm perfectly willing to say I was wrong. If it comes to that.
Well, it's going to come down.
You're absolutely right. But, for me, when, Matthew 5 through 7, when Jesus says almost anything in those Jack, when he says, "Consider the lilies of the field, how they neither toil nor spin."
Yeah.
Even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed as
Yes.
one of these. Those kind of things that Jesus said to me that's what makes me a follower. I follow that,
Yes.
because in that passage he says, "Don't give any consideration for the morrow. The morrow has its own
Has its
worries."
own things
Yeah.
that's going to happen. Right.
Yeah,
That's
and
the living.
that's the nub to me. That's the nub of spirituality, and to me, that's also the nub of music making, is to immerse in that eternal sense of present,
Yeah.
moment.
Oh, I need to write that down. Immerse in that.
Okay, I'm not preaching anymore.
I'm so serious. Because
Don't write it down. You'll imprison it.
I need the world to go and just get it, just speak it, just keep speaking, immersed in that eternal sense of present. How often though, like, no, we deal with people, friends, family members who, that some people take on the posture of worry.
Yeah,
I can't be around them. I can't be around that kind of energy.
it's hard.
Because it's draining. And so I really do appreciate you saying that, to immerse ourselves in that, because it's not what happened yesterday. We can't do jack about it. And tomorrow is not promised. What we have is the moment. So
Yeah.
I am down with you in that sermon. You gave 2 sermons and I wrote them back down. And so you can go back later and check it out. What's one of your pet peeves, Scott? What can you just do?
Mivan, if you're still there, you can put in the comments my pet peeve.
Okay, yeah, come on, Mivan, because that means you know it oh so well.
Is she going to come through?
I need her to come through. Is it musical or is it like just in general?
One of my pet peeves is sudden loud sounds. I hate them, and so water bottles. There it is, right there. It just came
Got
up.
it.
Especially
Glenn did too.
Glenn got it too. Yeah, water bottles when they especially and yawning out loud. I was just not happy about that. When you're about to pearls of wisdom are about to drop from your mouth to your chorus, right?
Yes.
And then somebody goes, "Hey Stanley, it's good to see you." Yeah, that's the worst. I hate that.
Yeah, no, that's disrespectful what it is.
It is. But they don't always mean it. I
know they don't, but hello.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. I really hate sudden noises. Just drive me crazy.
Yeah, no, and these nowadays, they got those metal water bottles.
Yes, right.
I just I forbid you to bring those into rehearsal. Just please have a regular plastic bottle. I want to give you this quote. Jason Max Ferdinand had said this quote. I read it. Something he was being interviewed on. I love his brother.
He is amazing.
Yeah, he is incredible, and just humble, and just another humanitarian out here, for real and seriously. He said, "We should no longer be satisfied with solely displaying musical prowess." I'm going to read this quote out loud, especially for the people who are educators and you have young ensembles, because this is really important, right? Let us master that in the rehearsal room. Coupling hope with mastery could be the combination that produces uncompromising societal transformation. So my question to you is, do you believe that we as artists have a responsibility to be the change we seek? And then how do we go about doing that? How do you do that?
Yeah, yes, I think that I think every person, whether they're an artist or not, has that responsibility to the rest of humanity. I mean, I think we are, whether we acknowledge it or not, we are interconnected, and so it takes deep knowledge of that to have any sort of sense of compassion, and it's compassion that's going to move us forward as a human race,
Yeah.
not anything else. So I think yes, I think we have that obligation. I think, to me, music is this amazing vehicle for transformation. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think Jason is absolutely correct. That I mean, I think what he's often saying is, I mean, what he's saying, which I often think is that when the music becomes about the artist, then it becomes about showing off,
Yes.
and that's a whole different thing. I mean, it can be impressive to see somebody do something very virtuosic, and that can be inspiring in its way, but that's really not what artistic expression is about at its root.
Yeah.
It's about saying, as I've said many times now in this hour, it's about the fact that it's an expression
Yeah.
of our common humanity. And
Yeah.
so music, any music, I believe any music, all the way from Bach to Elliott Carter
Yes.
to gospel music, to everything, has that at its heart.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's, to me, it's not about the artist. It's about the music itself. It's about
Yeah.
getting out of the way and letting that music work its transformational power in the audience, and just
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
it into being.
That goes into, again, all of what we had shared this evening about just being free, like taking the time. And I was talking to educators of young people, because oftentimes, when I'm adjudicating or going in to do clinics, and I just see them being so stiff, and I'm like, this is the thing that we love. This is
Yeah,
in the rehearsal, I get it, but when people have come now to see you, they want to share in the moment
yeah,
what you're doing. And so you have to bring them into it. We're all a part of this performance
yeah, yeah,
together. And some people need to feel, I don't care what kind of music you're doing, what composer you're doing, genre, but some people are sitting in that space to be healed.
yeah,
People are sitting in that space for encouragement, for a sense of hope. And that is our job, to release all of those things that we try to be so perfect about, and
yeah,
just connect, and just simply
yeah.
connect.
Okay, now you're preaching. I
Yeah.
mean, that's it.
I
That's
got
it.
it from you. I got it from
No,
you.
no, no. You're living it, and I know you are. So,
And the other person who preaches is Stanley Thurston. He
yeah,
does. He preaches. You got to catch it. I'll be like, ooh, that's a word, as he comes from a house full of preachers in there. Scott, 10 years from now, where
yeah.
are you? Where are you for you? Where would you like to be? On a beach?
um, to make music somehow all my life. When I'm on the deathbed, I want to be,
Yes.
even if it's like I'm tapping something out for my grandchildren, whatever it is. I just want to be. I just want
Sorry, Scott. It was the visual. No.
to. But yeah, I mean, that's where I love to be. So I hope it doesn't matter to me where or how or with whom so much. I mean, I just want to making music somehow. And at this stage, this is my second retirement. Maybe I'll have a third, who knows? But I think, personally speaking, of course, I have a young one. I have
Yes.
3 older children as well, with grandchildren. We have 2 grandchildren now,
So awesome.
and so I'm hoping to be deeply connected to all of them, and even then, it'll be a 15-year-old. Who knows? But I hope that we're still deeply connected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now is the time. Look at how the creator is giving you, a different space in your life to be
Yeah.
able to do all of those things. Yes. And I definitely, Nolan Williams is in that category of preaching somebody. I mean, he
Mhm.
is a reverend. I mean, he did. Stanley just needs to go ahead and go get his divinity degree. He'll kill me for that later. But
Just do it, Stanley. Just go do it. We've all been waiting.
Hey, Scott, I so love and appreciate you.
I love you too, and I feel the same way. You and honestly, my time in choral arts, when I was able to collaborate with you and Stanley at the beginning, and Ralph,
Oh yeah.
nope, Stanley, and Ralph, and then later T. I mean, all of that has taught me, so much, and it's hard, when you're a conductor. Certainly, I was at Cornell. I love to collaborate, but it's hard to find the opportunities.
Mhm.
But this thing that we've been doing annually, or we had been, started by Norman all those years ago. I mean, I'm very grateful for that time, because I've learned so much from all of you.
Yeah, I say I concur with all that you've said. I have gleamed so much. I call Stanley, my mentor and friend. And, I mean, it's just, and you, friend and collaborator, and we can do this thing without it being at the Kennedy Center. We can. Let's go. Let's go. What
Okay.
stops us? Let's find some funders who will take care of paying for it or something. you know. But no, I appreciate your time too. Thank you so much for coming on
It's
this
an honor.
and,
Thanks
and
for having me.
sharing a part of you. I'm looking forward to the collaborations because I'm speaking it as so that you and I will continue to do. I don't care about nobody else. You and I will continue to do in the future. And thank you to everybody who has joined us this evening or whenever you get the opportunity to watch. Scott, tell us how, if somebody wants to find you and they want to
Oh,
hire you, where are they going to go?
I have a website now.
What is the website?
It's scottatucker.net. That's the best I could do, because there's so many Scott Tuckers, including a criminal, out there in the world. So
No, do not confuse him.
So I had to add my middle initial in there. But
okay, scottatucker.net. I have put it out there for folk, and you
also I'm going to be announcing on WETA, which is the classic.
Are you really? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh,
So
come.
I'm just doing my training now, so I'll probably be a month or so. Yeah.
I love it. Please, please, please keep me posted on it. Keep us all posted. That is so incredible. That's awesome. I'll be listening because I really don't listen to WETA as often, but I promise you, with you being on it, I will definitely.
Julie's on there. Julie's on already.
That I did not know.
Yeah, she does.
Like a husband-wife kind of thing?
We're not taking over the station. No.
Just saying. That would be awesome.
I think we should do one of those podcasts though. And
yes.
Just air all our differences right there for everybody.
Eric, you know what? I think people don't do that often enough. And I don't mean it in the bad sense. I really do mean it in a good way, because how are other people going to learn? I think we get so many, false perceptions that we see on social media. And I want to see talk to me so I can understand.
Yeah.
How to make it through this thing. Will Scott be taking on the weekly choral showcase program is the question. Is that what you're taking on?
No. No, I'm just gonna be like a weekend host, and I'll be just on the bottom of the totem pole.
Oh, as a weekend host, I'm on the bottom of the totem pole.
Definitely.
Okay, great. Like, you see what I mean, good people, about Scott Tucker? Okay. I love you, Scott. And thank you to all of the muses who has joined us. Don't forget to go on and share this with somebody that might need to hear it. Scott has dropped us so many different sermons in here, golden nuggets, and let other people know about it, because they want to feel a sense of hope too. Until the next time, peace and many blessings.
Bye bye, Manya.